Good. Welcome to Dojo. It's October 27th. I think it's 2.71. I'm happy to be your moderator, Lori. James, good to see you.
Yeah, hello.
It was good to hear your homecoming.
Homecoming?
It felt like you were on a homecoming. You got around to the point of the situation is not to wake people up, but to really hold that ground as a of the realness and authenticity of your indigenous spirit. And I really like the part where you got to embody that and stop having shame or any of that stuff about, I'm a anti-Semitic,
Right.
and I don't I don't like that behavior of what I've been seeing, and I'm calling it out. And I'm a initiated in the indigenous wisdom, and I am indigenous. And
Yeah,
yeah,
that
let the
feels
chips fall where they may.
yeah, that feels like a biggie. I keep focusing on that word as a kind of empowerment and seeing I just wrote an article about this. I think it sounds I get in this prophetic manic kind of modes where I speak through archetypal terror fears, and one of the terror fears I have is I just think about Gaza, and I think about just all those shitty people uh being given the world, and like having the ability to censor everyone and to shit on everyone and to spray it out of a cannon from a metal fucking tube, and the entire time I'm watching people argue over semantics about how many suns there are, and the secret history that only a few of us know, and how arrowheads are psyops, and how everyone just laughs at trucker revolts. And I I'm not really in a good place to be like a sensei or an entertainer. I'm sort of in activist mode. That comes from a place of feeling vulnerable, threatened, and invigorated by all of those things at the same time. So I'm invigorated because I'm manic. It's not the other way around. I'm telling people I'm manic because I need you to know. I need you to know I'm manic, and I need you to know I'm going to be saying some shit that you're going to be like, I didn't sign up for that. And I want you to know I know. I know you didn't. I don't even know why you signed up, but this is personal now. It's personal, Lori. And it changes my mode, and I become much less compassionate. I become a shitty sniper, and I fear it's only going to get worse. And I feel disempowered because I haven't been smart enough or strategic enough with building audience or numbers, because I feel like I could really throw some fucking cannons at the world right now and just be really happy about it. I'm really glad to be here. There's nothing. I hope you understand. This is not. This is what I'm supposed to feel. Like I'm fucking good. You know what I mean? It's just
Well,
like
I'm witnessing you,
yeah.
and a good witness doesn't offer any solution.
Hmm.
It just holds the witness
Yeah.
for the fieldings. And I'm fielding the fieldings. I too have them. I really related to the stream and how, you know, when you're standing for the indigenous and you're thrown under the bus because you don't have the right color skin, and how dare you say that you stand for the rainbow tribe. The Hopi prophecy is a rainbow tribe.
Yeah.
And you come forward and you wear the regalia that you worked hard to get, and then, you know, you you get thrown under the bus for standing for the earth.
Hmm.
Um,
As you should.
actually, They prefer not to look at you. And that's even harder, to have no witness for what you see. So, James, as I compassionate you, you've only opened my aperture more to see myself. And so my heart is fuller from the experiencing you in a manic phase, not a judgmental, like, look at him, blah, 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 da, 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 da. No, that's the fielding. And when you landed that live into that location, and just like, if we're in another cycle of who a Nazi is, and we just put a different color thing on it, but we don't call it out, are we any better?
Right. Yeah, that's I feel that I'm just calling the metal poop trucks, you know.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump doing that was a wake-up call. Governor Newsom responding with it was a wake-up call. And it's just like, how, oh God, James. I don't dude, you are not trying hard enough. You are not trying hard enough. And I'm gonna need to use the word they. There's no other way I can cast magic, man. I'm gonna have to declare a bad guy here. I've using the word Benjamite. I'm that's the word. Works for me. I could change it, but this comes from actually watching a lot of Jews talk about the real history of the tribes. It's been some of the coolest shit. I've just really enjoyed it. There's this guy named Abrams, Rabbi Abrams. I think that's probably his official title, but he's very much an academic, as most American Jews are. I that I've encountered. Most American Jews are just they're just like, yeah, man, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then when you hear what they're saying, like Abrams is the one that told me what a shitbag Josephus was. Like seriously, just like that dude was a fucking shitbag. And when Josephus was caught in the foxhole, if you guys don't know the story, but like he was rebelling against Rome, and he all of the nobles. He was sort of a noble, kind of a half-ass noble that he had the money, but he didn't really. He's like, oh fuck, I got to do shit. He's like, I don't want to be a duke. I just want to own the money and stuff. And so they finally cornered him in a foxhole. And when they cornered him in the foxhole, they decided that they were going to have to kill each other because people were coming and uh, they all killed themselves except Josephus. He apparently drew the lucky straw somehow. He also was sort of in charge of making the straws. And then when the Romans came, he did. They found him, and he didn't actually kill himself. He didn't have the balls, and so this guy really, I think, has shaped more of the gospel of lust than any other out there. Um, Man, I could keep going like now. I'm sorry because I now I want to tell you about Christianity, and it really only just to get you to white nationalism. Not that you guys don't have your own interpretations, but it really is profound. The humping of the rock is profound, and I keep picturing these guys a long time ago spooging on a fucking rock at St. Peter and creating a church. I'm sorry, Lauren. I don't mean it to be that, but it's just okay. But it's just like that's and these people are the poop truck drivers. Do you understand? These are the poop truck drivers. And they're the poop truck drivers. And they, I don't know if you can understand how spiritually they must get off watching a white president come over to a wall and touch their lips to their spooge rock. I don't know if you understand how profoundly powerful it is that you can have a ritual that's so demeaning in the it's so demeaning and it's so in public. It's the purest sign of power I've ever seen. It's the lion's fucking mane. Do you understand? The lion's mane is proud. It's regal as fuck. It gives no shits. It is that powerful. There is no, you can't have a cape. There's no limitation for having that long hair because they're that much of a badass. They're that powerful. The emperor doesn't need fucking clothes. And when you see, I, I can't be, I can't be anything but manic. Like, how can you not like it's even kind of fucked up that I'm just been like, well, as long as it only stays in Gaza, it's just like that's pretty fucked up. And like my brother went to fucking Kuwait. My brother was like, we need to make sure we secure the first fucking route of Greater Israel. We gotta fucking like it's on the fucking map. It's it's the main is so big.
But isn't it perfect? Because
It's amazingly perfect. Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's like biblical perfect,
Yeah.
like biblically perfect.
Prophetic and epiphal. Like it's
Yeah,
prophetic in a very awe-inspiring. I need to practice looking at this. And when you look at it, it's like, whoa, whoa,
the trumpet
whoa, and you're just like,
so far is
damn, let's get some friends over. Guys, we gotta fucking look at this. Look at this. Yeah. It's
well. I kind of looked at the history a little bit, and all of these. Well, we have a lot of people from that part of the world that have been conquered and came here and made beautiful lives, and it's like the true Yahushua Hamashiach's brethren are more Palestinian than they are of Eastern descent. So there have this the it's these tribes, right? So the tribe of a tribe that was native to the land, and we have I'm thinking Syria has this DNA of the Palestine, like this Middle Eastern. It's like it's all in the blood. And then it's like, so we have like a name stealer Benjamite that's called themselves the Jews, but the Jews are not what you think they are. They're magical people. They're like they've written the flame language. They have all. It's not. So I can't say I'm anti-Semitic because I'm not anti-Semitic. I think that is so sacred. It's sacred part of the history. But we take this evil thing and then we put it onto these with this magical Jewish heritage, and it isn't that. So it's pissing me off that I don't want to take a name like that. Like I'm anti-Semitic, but because I'm not. But then how can you call out Israel? And it's like they're name stealers. They're in there as a name stealer, and then that's what's pissing me off. It's like that's not what I think that would have stood for. But anyhow, I don't have all that education on it, but it's just my feeling on it. It just doesn't feel right to say I'm anti-Semitic because I'm not. But I don't like what's going on with the people that are saying they're Jews, or. So how do you speak up on that?
I think you call them Benjamites. Because I think if you're going to go down the Ashkenazi route, honestly, I think that you're going to be chasing a tail that has no end, and
Yeah.
it's going to lead you to a black nobility cult, which is then going to take you into a Rothschildian cult, which is it's going to create the exact circle that that honestly has allowed this to exist the entire time.
Right.
There's even I personally feel that the 12 tribes of Israel, there only 11 are truly lost, and out of the 11, honestly, only about 4 or 5 are lost. That many went north, many went south. The rest were lost in between, but it's more like they just blended. They just blended. And the ones that went north actually ended up coming back south, but much later. And when they came back, they were met with a very different family, a very different ideology. And if you consider what kind of personality would you breed if you stayed as the rebel in the most war torn areas for centuries versus if you fled and sought more peaceful grounds? So, just from first of all, I don't want to talk. I'm not trying to say we have to believe that I don't, I hope it doesn't sound that way. But I think that when you start to hear a lot of the fodder, I think that we lose the ability to see the enemy. And even enemy probably isn't even the right word. The opponent, there you go. The opponent on the mat is an invisible shapeshifter that
Yeah.
magically changes from a Palestinian into a black nobilian, into a pedophilian, into a Luciferian, into a fucking reptilian. And if you look historically, the dudes My gut tells me the dudes that were humping the rock felt that they had to own that rock and that that would be a promised land. It was promised by their own seed. Their own seed was constantly burying itself into that land, and that that was more important than survival, sanctity, or peace. So from that, that southern tribe is the Benjamites. That southern tribe does have a name, and that name is known as a very radical sect, very violently prone. It is my belief that Bibi Netanyahu, that's it's not my belief that's his real that is not, excuse me, that is not his real name. I'm not saying that's my belief. That is not his real name. You can look that up. What I'm saying is that my belief is Netanyahu is like from God, something about from God or brought from God. But the Benjamin, I want you to understand that this is a moon child. This is a you if you want to call it kabbalistic, maybe that would be the closest, but honestly I think Kabbalah is kind of above this. This is something much more Priapus. This is more sex rock cult. This is more, we need to get the Roman Catholic Church to build their church on top of our sex rock so that when everybody's coming to worship the tomb of St. Peter, they're worshiping the sex rock. All that jizz is our heritage, and the salt, guys, the salt. I'm telling you, the Cave of Patriarchs has a certain subset of bones. This is going to sound fucking insane, but it's probably hermaphroditic bones. It's probably what it is. And that those patriarchal bones have the same kind of uh, spirit that gives you so much of a connection that you will fight. You will turn and spray poop on everyone to protect it. You will tell any lie to protect that thing. And I feel that Benjamite is a good name for that. I feel that Benjamin Netanyahu himself really embodies that archetype and gives you something for your teeth to grip into that isn't anti-Semitic. It's actually very smart because it shows that you understand the different tribes of Judah. It shows you understand the different tribes, the different thinking, the different families that went. And then you can even establish that back into yourself because you have a cranial nerve that is the Benjamite. There are lots and lots of symbolism that relate this Judah's nerve to your ability to lie, to your ability to deceive. Your tongue is the snake that lies, the tail of the sinister, and that this cranial nerve would have to be shown in the world so you can see it. And if we do not want to own our tongues, we're going to say it's not us. We may even have a lot of debate about who even owns the tongue and where the tongue secretly comes from. And it comes from this trinity, the first nerve, that this nerve, I forget the nerve number, forgive me, but it's broken into three. It actually,
Tridemic
maybe
nerve.
that's probably it. Yeah. There's something so symbolic about this. And it makes me calm now. I'm less manic because I'm remembering this.
Mhm.
Because I know this is part of the system and I should trust more. But also, it feels kind of good to be alive. It feels kind of good to be activated. I'm kind of fucking pissed. I'm more pissed at our own side. I tend to get more pissed at us. I tend to get more just like, oh God, are we really doing this? Is this how low we have to think back to? And that's when I lose all patience for everything. Speaking of patience, Mary Jo's had her hand up. I have no idea why I'm babbling.
Yeah, we're going to call on Mary Jo. Thanks for being so patient.
Hi. I was gonna bring up the point how I don't know who said where the chakras. Oh, what do I do?
No, no, you're fine.
Sorry,
We're
Mary Jo,
just,
you're
Oh,
great. Someone
okay.
was telling me I was low. Please go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I don't know who decided where the chakras are in the world or on Earth, but the throat chakra is where the pyramids are, but also um where the rock in Jerusalem. whatever
Mhm.
that's called. And that would be like speech and the word of God. And that is just I don't know how that all worked out. But anyway, I'm not calling it the Middle East. I want to show you guys a headdress that I made to wear to give out candy. And I did it in a sovereign spirit. And
A moon.
wait, wait. Mhm. See, it has the moon.
It's beautiful, a moon goddess.
Yeah. So,
I love that.
I like the connections that you made, Mary Jo.
yeah.
Um, what do you think about the throat chakra and the Egypt and the way that James's stuff with the placenta, that
Um,
origin, and then this Temple Mount where they're putting the seed down. How do you make that connection?
um, oh,
I don't know. I just kind of started to put all these pieces together. They're all like located in there. Why do you
yeah.
not want to call it the Middle East? What would you prefer to call it?
Because I don't want my son to have to deal with that. That's over somewhere else, you know? To be right here is to cl really claim power. Instead, obviously, that's what we're talking about. And that's why I don't like that. Why is that? I don't know. I mean, throughout my life, I've had weird experiences that would give clues. Like, I had an experience once where when I was a little kid, I was pulled back like that by a stranger, and like ever since then, I've had problems communicating. And so I've always thought, well, why did that happen? Because I started seeing all these symbols, and it's something to do about the wound of your child being cut off, sort of like Abraham and I mean Isaac. Yeah, Isaac. Like that is somebody cutting off their own inner child and giving it to something else. And I don't know why it happened or it happened.
I feel your answer is absolutely accurate, and it sits someplace inside, deep inside me. And
Mhm.
this is where I think James's passion as this, like as a woman, I can feel into this location, and I can see where you're healing it from this location, and
Mhm.
that James's righteousness of calling it the way he needs to call it is in alignment to giving us all the child of God this voice,
Yeah.
this embodiment, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. I really appreciate you seeing that, and I love the moon giving out the
Yeah,
candy. It's a
Yeah.
moon
yeah, that's
goddess.
amazing.
Thanks. Thank
I
you.
I wrote today about again, it's kind of prophetic. It may not have made any sense, but the idea of Ka versus Ba, and that the white man really doesn't have a place to put his Ka.
Yeah.
And this is the Egyptian. The idea of the lotus is the root in the mud, and the mud has a stalk, and the stalk goes up to the top, and that's the flower that we see. And the flower of America is uh, not bound to a ka. It's incinerated. The placenta is incinerated by the white man's hospital. Like it's burned. It's like holy fuck, man. No, why did I not notice that before? Like
And
why?
then you can't claim indigenous, and you can't claim you
Yeah,
belong
exactly.
here, and you're not
Yeah,
like, well, you're 7 generations here, but you
yeah,
still don't belong here, and
yeah, yeah.
it's like
And
you
it
have
it
no land, you have no name, you have no way to track your ancestors because they were all shuffled around in some kind of big shuffle.
biological amnesia
Yeah.
instilled by a cult of metal of poop sprayers that know where the reddest heifer is, know where the most virgin soil is, know where the most gullible are, and rushes in not to take over, but to farm. Rushes in not to put any effort into growing them, but instead to giving them less and less and making it look like more and more. And all of the inflammation where America's called fat, but we're not fat, we're inflamed.
Yeah,
We're
swollen.
inflamed with salt and sugar, so it's not real. If we were fat, we would be ready for spring. We would be ready for for manifest, right? We this would be a sign of health. We even live in a society where we've decided that anything that looks healthy would be wrong. So so the reason why everything is backwards is because we're growing upside down, and we're growing upside down because we don't actually have that ka anymore. This is why we're called white men. This is why you hear the word dirt. I don't think the word dirt ever fucking existed until Zionism invented it. It would be a way of reframing the word soil. It would be a way of taking the word soul out of soil, and you'd be left with dirt. And now you fight over dirt, or you call each other dirt dwellers, and that this was what you would feel like if you used to be connected to the soil and now you don't. Now you aren't. So our ka is there, but it's an invisible wound, and that wound can be moved into a different kind of crevice, a different crack in a rock, and that rock could be in Washington D.C. It could be in Christian nationalism. It could be in the Democratic Party. It,
Yes, I think that's why people don't want to give up the stash of identity to truth, whatever, flat earth thing. It could be blue team. It could be, I don't know. There's just places that if you don't have a ka, you're not connected. You don't have a deep connection to the earth or your origin points.
Mhm.
You're just going to need to have like an external, and you're like, you have no grounding. It's like this, it's just like they're moving around as like a pack,
Yeah.
because it's comfortable, and it's like you don't have to eat. It's easier to not look for the you get shamed if you go find the connection. It's like, oh, you can't be connected to this. You're not from here. How
No.
could you're never going to belong, you know? It's like that would be, the best way to stay. I just don't belong. And then, well, you have no responsibility if you don't belong, do you? You have no internal like authority to stand for anything, because they came for these immigrants. Well, you're next. You're not from here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no one's.
And honestly, the sickest part is that this is actually just a really a nice cheap way to live. Not having ka isn't really like you're a slave. It's more like, oh, I don't have to be responsible.
Yeah,
I don't have to defend my land because I don't got none. Which means I don't even have to feel like I'm a victim. Like honestly, if you want to feel like you're attacked, you first need to fucking defend yourself. Like if you don't defend yourself, you really don't get to even call yourself attacked. You don't. And most of us have this snake pose kind of defense because it works. If you lay on your belly, no one it's going to be harder for someone to shoot you. It's going to be harder for someone to want to shoot you. It's going to be harder for anyone to feel threat from you at all. You're going to be meaningless to them. And this is a kind of safety. And you can be safe and you can have a happy life as long as we snip your ka, as long as we cut that off. As long as that's severed, you're not going to need it. You're going to have a phantom wound. And honestly, we can just fill that with alcohol. It's fucking easy. It is so easy to do. And so you walk through Twitter, you walk through comments, you listen to where everyone's at, and it's really disgusting and gross. And this is all I can do to lift us up is to be disgusted and grossed out by it. Like this is the best idea I have so far. Is I'm gonna just walk around and go, my God, that's disgusting, because it really is. Like especially if you walk around Twitter now and you just see where everyone's at with everything, especially with this snap thing. But like, how fucking twisted do you have to be to find yourself arguing against people getting food and using like a $28 trillion deficit? And like, we owe 20, like this fucking phantom owes $28 trillion, and people are still arguing about, well, people shouldn't be fucking getting food. It's like how fucked up do you have to be to even be in that mindset? Like where people are arguing over chocolate doesn't count as food, And really you find out they just want to make sure that everyone who's getting any kind of charity from them, it has to taste shitty, they have to feel guilty, they have to be in shame, and they have to fucking be suffering. And that if you qualify for all those things, we will bribe you with a snap card. That's how people see potlatch and charity. And we are the fattest motherfuckers on the planet, and this is how we feel. Like we have the most meat on our bones, we have the most money to give, and this is how we feel. It's it's so gross that that's actually what gets me manic about it because I'm just like this is going to be oh man.
But I'm going to challenge you on this because I think it's beautiful. And the way I see it beautiful, James, is like a caterpillar eating all the leaves off the tree and just like it's getting ready to go to a chrysalis state, but before it does that, it destroys the milkweed. It's like no leaf on that plant anymore. And that's really what we're in, that we have this fat caterpillar. It's the ugliest, voracious, chomp, 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 but then it's like beautiful. It has to do that in order to have the metamorphosis. And I feel that it's the ugliest right before it becomes this translucent thing that covers itself up and goes into imaginal cells and becomes more of a different type of being. And I'm seeing the grace of doing ceremony everywhere I'm going to make the difference in the resonance and seeing the beauty in how it's not broken. And I'm just trying to hold like a lens for that, you know, because you're seeing how disgusting it is. And it is disgusting to see your whole plant get eaten alive by butterflies. I think that we're all a caterpillar stage. And that's the part that's, you know, like when you love this beautiful turtle island and you see this beautiful turtle and you see grossest stuff, it breaks your heart open. It breaks you into a million pieces. But the great work is this love. And I really don't feel the love is broken. I see more people loving. I mean, in my little town, we have a community kitchen with two freezers and a refrigerator, and we have food distribution here. And there's just the people that have give, and it's anonymous giving. You put it in the refrigerator. So I see that there's a lot of things happening that we don't always see it. And then, you know, we're broadcast the worst stuff to get us all out of balance with, you know, we're in the biggest transition. You know, we're in another epoch of, you know, we can either evolve or we can destroy ourselves. So I'm looking at it as the butterfly you know, we're becoming a chrysalis, going to have to go into a chrysalis state and become a different species. Maybe human, Homo sapien, Homo sapien.
Yeah. I love that view. I don't think I'm right. I think I'm manic. I think I'm activated. And I think I want to throw rocks and I want to hit people in the face, only certain people. And I want to justify it with righteousness. And I don't want people to get sprayed with poop cannons anymore. I love what you're saying, Lori. And this is what I mean by this is how I recognize that I'm manic because I'm associating into it. And I'm associating into it because probably because it's fun. Probably so. Doesn't feel fun. The fear, obviously I can afford the fear. I can't just like ignore it and just, you know, go back into something else. And I'm noticing that my calories are low just because I man, I just there's this guy Zarelith, Steve. I just think he's such a great guy, but I can't believe some of the things he says sometimes. He's one of these guys that like I genuinely love his heart, but also it just feels like anytime I want to go out and try and like pollinate the world in a positive way, there's always these people that are waiting for the moment I take off so they can suck the blood out of it before I get off the ground. And it wouldn't bother me so much if Steve was feeding off that, but he doesn't even fucking know it. Like he doesn't even know what he's doing. He doesn't even value the blood. Like it's not even something he's storing. He's just having fun. He's just distracted from it all. And I get really pissed off about Brashears and about Archaic and about Sitchin and about Rose and Crow and all these guys because I know something about them. I know where their spirit is, and I see how much I see how far they could be throwing rocks right now, Lori, and I know they're not throwing them. And
Well,
it also makes me feel better because coming back to your point, and I want you to go, but I just want to say something. Believing and trusting in the system helps because honestly, when I see this kind of stuff, it makes me understand how important it is that this continue, that the vitriol continues because I know we're not ready. The last thing I would want to do is hand over to this world to those kinds of people, if it makes sense. I'm not even saying Zerul's one of them. I'm just talking about this dense, unconscious sort of loop-de-loop jazz about only we know the truth. It's so gross to me when the poop cannons are out and I finally want to say something and they're just right. It's just you get it. I do appreciate seeing the hyena makes me realize how important the fires are when they come. Even if I have to burn, I'm still like, you know what, this is gonna be healthy. This is gonna be fine. So thank you.
yeah, thanks, James. I was like thinking about how we're the master game programmer in our games, and because we're gods and God, we're just so we're programmed all these people in our life, and I think Zarelift is one of these people. I only can share a story because I had a personal experience with him at 5'5". He's the only person from this group that you had, James, that wanted to embrace a person that he didn't know, and in a beautiful, kind, loving, clueless way. He doesn't know who I am, but he thinks he knows everything, and so it was the funniest thing for him to do a reading on me. And so I just let him on and let him on and let him on and let him just dig a little hole and dig another little hole. And then he was on all this stuff, and he was just so enamored with whatever the fantasy was that he was in. I was like, I had the best time playing with him. And you're taking it too serious, James. You're like, I think that's you're like, you wrote him into this script, and I met him, and it was in your play. And I'm like laughing because he's a beautiful, kind, very innocent type person, and that's what I'm seeing. And it's like the fact that your genius is kind of brought to a manic state because you have kind of heckler, that kind of heckler. It's kind of charming,
Yeah.
but I'm seeing it like I kind of had seen that like early on, and I was like, and even when you were having that problem, with the Jason Bashir, that, and he's still going at it, like he's totally like he's kind of doesn't have the capacity, I think, and that was kind of what I was seeing. I was like, whoa. I'm not. There's no judgment in this. I'm just looking at it. He kind of can't see a higher picture.
And this could be a very strategic weapon if we could find a way to harness it and
Yeah.
aim it in the right location. But honestly, when I put it in the lab and I'm just like, oh my God, no, no, don't, why? Oh, no, Roomba in the poop. Now you're spreading it. No, no. And it's always that. It's
Yeah.
always that. And I can't be in Kermit mode because I'm in inflatable frog mode,
Yeah.
you know,
I see that.
and I lose all my patience. And it's because I think his heart, I love that guy's heart. I really do. And it's because of that I realize I'm ill equipped to, it's a great opponent. It's beautiful
Yep.
vitriol. and I also really am worried about the poop cannons, and I wish to fuck that we could be more serious sometimes. And I think that's very debilitating. That's very sabotagey. I'm going to have to use language that goes directly against everything that I think gives you a better posture. And I also feel like I need to do that. That's why it's kind of like I kind of wish I could step out of the mode and go into guerrilla mode. But I don't even have enough like I can't pull enough flux for that gorilla mode, I think, to even necessarily be healthy. It might even be better if I was to slip out of manic mode and to return to the root of posture from there. So I'm just saying this is part of why I'm manic because I'm still sort of wondering. But again, it's I don't mind being manic. Like I don't see this as a failure. I just think I'm activated and I'm activated because there's a lot of fucking shit going down. Like there's just a lot of crazy fucking shit going down, man.
Well, James, the research you did on the war, how we're meant not to win,
Mm.
and then I was thinking about the politeness of this English society. They'd rather take this, like, I couldn't show that I'm a winner. I have to show that I'm like, there's just a posture to that. And even in the colonization of England, in that time when they colonized this whole, instead of saying, well, that was like a pollination, and part of it was a pollination, and part of it was a conquering thing, but this whole thing that I'm seeing, it's like a level of a Wetiko, a Wendigo. I don't know. I loved the thing that True put up about Wendigo. I didn't know there was a Wendigo and a Wetiko, but same kind of spirit of someone who cannibalizes and then they're not trusted. So isn't a cannibalization a form of spraying shit on people? That's just like what I'm thinking about is like, is it any different to eat a human or to spray human shit on people?
Yeah,
And
if you eat someone, you be digesting them,
yeah,
which
yep,
yeah,
yeah. And
yeah,
so isn't that what
that's
the ultimate
discriminatory.
is? I want you to be in the same caloric pool as me. So I want you to eat me, eat my shit, eat my sperm, eat my whatever. It's like, it's a level of how it's so not broken, but it is probably at the worst state of just, nobody wants to go into the underworld and think about shit and all that stuff that everybody does. So, Mary Jo, your hand was up. I'm sorry if I philosophized.
No, it's no problem. It's the topics move so fast. I just have to, you know. But I was going to say something. I was going to say, oh, I know what I was going to say. When you're talking about cannibalism, I wanted to, and like eating people, I wanted to bring up that, I have, or I've been told my whole life that I have a hard time receiving, you know. And so I think that's probably true. And if you have a hard time receiving, and if you like let disease manifest because you're not dealing with things, you might find yourself getting a blood transfusion, you know? And like I had to have two blood transfusions and two iron infusions. And like you're just like sitting there thinking about all of these people who donated blood, you know, and I don't know. It's just like, you're rethinking your life. Like if you're given us another chance or and you're having like a death rebirth, you want to make sure you're getting your energy right the second time around because, you got to die before you die, if you see what I mean. And I feel like me not being able to receive in my hallucination of this world, I'm sitting there getting blood and iron transfusions, which is kind of a weird thing to do. You know what I mean? That's all.
I'm sorry, Lori. I bet you. I'm sorry. You're probably like I muted you because You're still muted though. Let's see. Lori's had a motor on in the background, so I muted her and she's got asked to unmute. There we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Sorry, Lori.
Well, I do have this motor, and you wouldn't believe an iPhone would pick up a refrigerator.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to do it, and it's trying to change my backgrounds. And I'm
Sorry
like,
about that.
what the frick is happening? I can't figure out how to do it. Oh, there we go. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to figure out a better audio. I have this troubleshooting thing set up with Brad, so we're going to figure this out. Get like a ear thing or something. So I'll have better audio soon. But Mary Jo, I really like the idea that you are the world. You've got all these people's blood and you alchemized it all into your tissues. Do you know it takes 7 years to rebuild? Like, I think it's the longest, what was the longest organ? The liver is the fastest to rebuild all of it. I think that's 3 months. You have a whole new liver. But I think maybe it's your bones that take 7 years. But I think about all the people that donated to you and then how that's kind of like an alchemy of like, you are like, like you're like one of the first collectives. So I'm looking at it as a real positive rather than like that, this and then that. I'm like, no, how about you chose to have iron and blood from all of these other people that donated to you. I think that is like the ultimate receiving, learning how to really be grateful for that, be able to receive that, which is beautiful.
It was like that. It was like an alchemizing, and I was very thoughtful about the whole thing, even if it is kind of blurry.
Yeah. No, not many people get an opportunity to alchemize that level of medicine and to come through it. Because in the studying as a medicine woman, they said that in South America, that people that were medicine people, they always got picked if they got struck by lightning. And then they were like, oh, this one's a picked one. It's going to be the shaman. They had to die to an electrical storm. But in the West, it's the wounded person. It's the person that has a wound. They call it, the Chiron or the wounded healer. And because in the North American continent, most people that do any work as a healer are always coming to do work to heal themselves from some kind of trauma, multi-generational, personal, collective. There's just it's the way that we're made here. So I don't think there's any shame in having the wound in any way that we show up if we're doing the great work. I really liked Dojo on Friday regarding the great work, and I was playing a lot with the ball and a hoop because I was getting ready to do a divine appointment, and I traveled to do the divine appointment, and I was like so excited to show Renee, but I couldn't get a video out to show her, so I was like, I was playing in the realm, and I just really want to say that the great work doesn't always look really pretty, because the medicine person has the wound, and when you're working in that wound space, and it's festering and it's cracking you open, and it's like that's where the medicine is. It's in that level of yeah. So that's that's why I wanted to share that. And I had an amazing experience with dolphins. Now, as anyone hasn't heard, but the whales and the dolphins are acting very peculiar lately. They're gathering in large amounts in all different locations and as big organizations. They're having big powwows. And it's amazing because, we have like, I don't know, 5 comets and another weird interstellar object. And we have all of these signs and symptoms of like, looks like a blue kachina might be, a Hopi prophecy, blue kachina. We don't know where we are in space and time. But I'll tell you, the dolphins were talking to me. They were flying through the air. They were like flying through the air. Then they would go flipping on their backs. And I said, what are these dolphins doing? Well, then I looked up. They just playing. Well, some of them are adolescent and they're trying to build up strength. And but there was like one of them did seven at the same time, like 7 times. And then I got the research on dolphin brains. Now, if you didn't know this, dolphins, they turn off half of their brain to go to sleep. So then they surface and they do their same thing with half their brain, and then they turn the other half off. so they're so they're half asleep, half awake, but they're sleeping by staying in this altered brain state. So I thought, well, how can we, I was surrounded for 72 hours. All I wanted to do is watch the dolphins. I went out on the boat with the dolphins. I was in the water with the dolphins. I was communing with the dolphins. I think I can do a lot of work focusing on the sonar and the appreciation, because our brains work like this through frequency. So, and then I was doing some research in our brain, and this brain scientist happened to come up with my long drive. I was on this long drive, and boy, is that AI smart. It just knows what video you need next, and it just came on with the brain scientist. And it's interesting because your right side in your brain and your left side of your brain, we always had it classified that the right brain was the creative and the left was the analytical. But it's not really true. Both sides do all of the functionings in different ways, shapes, and forms. And I was thinking, how do we change our brain not to be so bound by our belief in what's going on? And how do we alchemize this way to see a new way, like a new ways of seeing, new ways of hearing, new ways of sensing. So I was in a mystery school all weekend with another person who is a mystery school person. So we were doing like Celestine prophecy kind of experiments with each other. And it was a really fun, great work, because I don't get to play like that with anybody. And it was really a magical experience to have somebody that was another mystery school kind of person, but not in the same way as me, in a different way. And I've gotten to the place where I don't need to do it in anyone else's way, because my peculiarity is totally different than other people's peculiarity. How do we hold co-creation and keep each other breathing by not overtaxing our brains and drowning, you know?
I wonder if it has something to do with digestion,
Yeah.
meaning that the more you're digesting, the more relaxed you are, and and more open you are to empathy, telepathy, sonic communication, and play and creativity and placebo. And maybe dolphin is always digesting. Maybe they're digesting so much that they don't need to shut everything down, because we shutting everything down to go to sleep could be because we're never fully able to let go, and that we would have to have a mode called sleep, which is a pre-primitive proto form of existence that forces you to shut down enough so that you can digest or do whatever the fuck you want to do. And you don't really want to be digesting when you're sleeping, but this would be the only time you'd be open, which is why we dream. We dream so thick because we are digesting fully. We're in a fully ventral state for a while. And these dolphins are in ventral state 24/7 because they don't want to leave that space. And so they've learned to disassociate into each lobe. I mean this in a positive way, to move their psyche into a different lobe and switch back and forth, which you and I do anyway. The phonological loop that I've discussed several times is just one of many. In other words, you would zoom to a certain thing like driving, and now your phonological loop is fully desktoped into the mode of you driving. But while you're driving, you actually could then switch, and you imagine swiping this screen away and now moving the audio of the doctor podcast, and now that's in your desktop. And now you are visualizing and auditating and sympathizing and digesting purely into that stream. You're drinking that straw, but this straw is just your current context, your current focus. And now you can zoom out again. Now you have two desktops that are running, and you move to your climate control and you're adjusting and you're remembering how you really love the number 7-2 or 6-8 or whatever it is. And now you're that zone is up and you're turning on your butt warmers or you're changing your song. That's a different desktop that swoops in and out. And all of these are cellular nucleic hallucinations, intelligent hallucinations that are clumped together by you, and you get to assign each one. You literally get to say, I need 8 million nucleic cells, please, so we can roll down the window. And that those create a desktop, and that desktop, you route and pull in all the data that you need, right, to make that desktop to complete, to route the information. I'm going to need tracking all this stuff. And once you have it in, you're able to control it. I'm going to move my finger on this button. I don't even have to fucking look. Look at how badass I am. And you're doing that because that frame, that phonological loop has returned. And you can pull it up anytime you want until you get in a new car. Now, when you get in a new car, you can't do all these other things. You have to get a much bigger desktop and you have to pull in and you have to move your psyche into that frame and record. What does the button look like? Which button does what? And once you record that, that desktop is able to pull up and be much smaller. It's not streamed, it's pulled up from memory. All the GUIs are there, the buttons are programmed for you so you know where to go. This is what consciousness is. It's a fucking processor, a witness processor. Think about all the desktops that we have forgotten. Think about the 5-year-old desktop that has the time someone grabbed us by the mouth and pulled us back. What else is on that desktop? What else is still witnessing that? What's required for that desktop to be open? When you pull up your phone and you swipe up and you see 30,000 different things on your phone and you're just like swiping them up to try and kill them all because you haven't figured out, like me, how to kill them all yet. And you're just like, I don't know. And then you're just like, look, I don't fucking need this. It's okay. And you don't worry about it. And your phone's slower, but it doesn't feel slow because you're just getting by. You're just doing what you want to do. And this would be all of our trauma, but think about trauma in the sense of just pain as a portal to God, just informative limbic feeling that's worthy of its own desktop. One of those desktops, which you learn at a very young age, is how far away am I from the ground? This is one of the first desktops that they say babies develop. This fear of heights comes soon. And that if you think about it, that's always a desktop that's always going to be there. And it's going to have alerts turned on, and it's going to have full access to your camera and to your, right? To your camera and to your storage and to your measurement and to your calendar and to your time. And all the things that you've fallen off before would have to be categorized to give you a curve of how nervous, how loud this warning needs to be on your desktop, and that you have all these warnings. One of them is, James, these people are with fucking false horse tails are going to come and spray poop on you. That's one of my new desktops, right?
Yep. You got the GUI, and I was thinking about that first thing that they do with a baby. They give them an APGAR score. And they drop the baby on the thing, and it's supposed to do this, like a monkey. It's supposed to grip, but it can't really grip because we lost the ability to really be that. We have to wait, I don't know how many years before. We're the slowest developing, we're really smart, but not too smart, to be able to take care of ourselves. And like a monkey would be able to hold on, but we just go like... So I was thinking about all of those desktops. So I'm kind of in a fight, flight, or freeze. No, I used to be in that all the time until I got this piece of my susceptibility, and now I have a lot more calories because I'm not leaking. And so I was able to drive through big cities, get to this long ass destination, not sleep for 2 days, and drive back with a lot of energy. I've never been able to do that in my brain. It was actually a blessing that my brain did not sleep, because I couldn't have went into that altered state of playing in the energy of this mystery school with this person to do all these things if I had been fully rested. Now, that's a very interesting thing to flip the script on. What do you really think that you need in order for your brain to be working at optimal condition? So I I had a lot of fear. I choose not to drive through cities if I don't need to. There's nowhere to get to. I couldn't get to where I was going until I went through a big city. And I was like, oh, okay, you don't have to lose your parasympathetic. You know, you can stay there. And I did. I was able to just, with ease. So I sense something is evolving. And I only have me as my experiment, you know? But my experiment inside of myself is able to do much bigger energy work than I was ever capable of before. So I'm really grateful to be able to be here as this moderator because nobody's got their hand up. And so that means I got to talk more. And I'm like, hello, raise your hand. And if anybody wants to raise their hand, there's a reaction button down there, you know, hello. So anyhow, go ahead, James.
You're doing great. I really appreciate what you're bringing. I really do, and it probably helps to have a different tone than where I'm at for sure. So, thank you.
Well, I'm glad to share, and good, Sarah, for putting your hand up. I'm glad. I'd like to hear another voice other than James and mine, but I love hearing James' voice, of course, and I love me too. Go ahead.
Okay, so raise my hand and what to share. I'm equally appalled by this squirting poop, shooting um, sewage on people. Uh, who comes up with these ideas? It's so completely repulsive to me. And the whole I had commented, I think, on Substack on the whole wall kissing thing. It's so bizarre. It's I was thinking, oh, it's just another brick in the wall. It's just another kiss on the wall. Like, and my daughter was just commenting on this, how it's really creepy to her that every president has been to the wall to kiss the friggin' wall. And the whole wall thing. So I lived there for a while and I've been to that wall many times because that's part of the protocol if you are in that club and living and believing that whole the Orthodox Jewish lifestyle. And the thing about that, it was there was always an awkwardness because I never felt the emotion that I thought I was supposed to feel there. And I felt I was would almost have to feign more intensity in my prayer there because I wanted to feel what everyone was supposedly feeling. And I wondered when I was writing that earlier, it's like, well, maybe they were all feigning too. I never got the whole thing. And now I see it as, well, aside from the humping, the wall humping, as the amount of emotional energy that's given there to that site that was supposedly the temple of animal sacrifice. I see it as a feeding of this whatever this Yahweh thing is that it says straight out in Torah about the animal sacrifices. It this deity says, "These are my food," and which is it's just bizarre. And I wondered when I started thinking about Judaism and the temple and what is this so-called God that wants sacrifice and I wondered, and there's this saying that I remember learning in Judaism that when the temple was functioning and the animal sacrifice was happening, there was peace everywhere in the world. I don't know that I don't believe it. If that were true, then I would wonder if that Yahweh, I think or Jesus refers to it as the Satan ruling this realm. If it's getting all of its food, do we not need to be at war with each other if we're giving these animal sacrifices? So, and are all of these things that we do, all these emotions, are they feeding this whatever it is, this force? And then I was thinking, well, how do you starve something that people love and are addicted to feeding?
Mm.
Yeah, I don't think you do. I think that's what makes it something that you end up where you're saying you have to trust the wasp, the hatching of the wasp, the wasp drops its seeds in the back of the caterpillar. And those seeds take off too. And that wasp is either going to alchemize into a butterfly, or it's going to just make a bunch of wasps burst out of its belly and be born. I I think that if you can imagine, first of all, BB has never kissed the wall. I just
Hmm.
looked that up to verify. He's never kissed it. And
And I want to know why the word Nazi is in Ashkenazi.
hmm,
I
You
don't
know,
know.
it's interesting. I've done some research on this. I can only remember his last name, and it's Sabak. His last name is Sabak.
Yes, here.
Pierre Sabak, yeah. And he did the etymology of El,
Ah,
and like the Old Testament God of El. And um, it has something to do with ship, right? It's the orientation of a ship. But this God of destruction in the Old Testament forming this thing, and so it's like that cult of cannibalism in a certain way. And I was thinking about, Sarah, I worked in New York in a lot of the very strict Hasidic Jewish community. And I had a lot of friends because I worked in these hospitals and made friends with the people there and asked a lot of questions. And, they couldn't show their hair. They had to cover their hair, the women, and they just were supposed to have a lot of children. And there's some of the girls were rebelling against this experience. But I did, and it's kind of, they have a little bit of an arranged kind of marriage. The parents figure out, they go to a matchmaker and they figure out and they were kind of having this resistance. They were traveling around Europe with all their suitcase had kosher food because they had to wait to get to a kosher restaurant and they couldn't be for sure. So it was a very interesting experience to witness these young women. But they said something about the practices of not being able to touch during intercourse. They had to have a sheet between, so it was like they're having sex with a wall
the
in
hole in the
this, what?
hole in the sheet. I've heard of this, and then
Yes.
I thought it was disproven and not true. But you've heard it directly from
Yeah,
the mouth of the.
of the practitioners. And, one of them was a rabbi's daughter, and her mother was a hairdresser, so she was the one that did the wigs and stuff. So I got to have an experience. I went to Salt Lake and I got to interview the Mormons because they wear vestments too. And they can't, you're doing the ultrasounds on them and they can't take their vestments off. They're never without clothes. So there's something about, it's the impurity of this body and this impurity of some kind of God that is like this this thing of, this worshiping of a deity that thrives on death or
Oh,
cannibalism or something.
electricity. L is in electricity.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't looked at Pierre's work in a while. He's deciphering right now fairy tales. It's very much like all of the stuff is in the myth. So in the fairy tale myths, all the history's there too. And the Grimm's fairy tales are pretty dark. Go ahead, James. I'm
I
sorry.
think I think El obviously goes all the way back to Samaria,
Yeah.
but if you also look at the Asherah pole, which is also Ashkenazi-esque, but the Asherah itself is the worship of the goddess. And the Ashira pole, if you're willing to be a little bit vulgar with me again, is quite easy to picture what that pole would be. Think about the early animistic mind going into a meditative state of difference when you are turned on, when you're sexually activated. It's imagine being drunk times 1,000, and that you when your penis is engorged, you're experiencing a different kind of consciousness. There's a different antenna activated, and you lose yourself because you do not have enough of a frontal lobe hold to really bind to a self. And this is both a tragedy and something that's beautiful that we were able to decouple from these things. So the ritual of the sheet is a quest for cleanliness, but a quest for cleanliness is actually the emanation of the immune system. The Essenes had the right idea that we have to be clean, and the only way to be clean is, man, we can't live in the city full of shit. It's a place covered in shit. We gotta go. We're not like snobby. We just have this belief that we're supposed to be clean. And they would go to the mountains and build a sacred temple, create their own records because they didn't want to go back into the shit town and get their stuff. But they made one mistake. They were all bathing in the same water. They were all cleaning their parts in the same water, and then they thought that they were doing the right thing, and they were, but they just hadn't figured it out yet. So cleanliness, whenever you see it inside of an early race, is probably going to be more of a positive thing. I think you're looking deeper at the limbic cost of losing a religion that featured rape, sodomy, sex, orgies. I think you're looking at how does the limbic mind recover from not having that kind of pull, the ability to go wild, to enter into that state. When you take that away, there's a form of attack. And that form of attack is going to come from a Jungian sort of shadow place
Yeah.
that needs that torch to remain alive. It's a desperate torch that's dying to remain lit. And so it needs to find a way. So Rome has, look, every month you guys get to butt fuck each other. You're going to run around and hey, it's sundown. You better be hiding. Or if you're going to be out, you're going to be, oh, I'm running away as fast as I can because you want to experience that. These are opportunities to drop the yoke of the placebo and sort of go to sleep for a while, right? To go to sleep for a while, to allow your brain to stop having to insist upon itself, all the shame, the yoke of shame, the ability to pull the reins back and not gorge yourself on alcohol or all the other things that we encounter.
So, James, I know Sarah's hand's up again, but I just want to say, isn't this spraying of the shit dilating you? It's no different than the Essenes swimming in their shit. Like we're trying to stay pure, and then we're really getting shit sprayed on us, and it's like it's awakening us in a different type of way, in a very deep way, and it's dilating, um, you know, everybody that's seeing it.
Yeah,
I
I,
mean,
I I think the longer that we cannot orchestrate a wider bandwidth, we're going to be the prey
yeah,
to anyone that has more orca-like consciousness. And that orca-like consciousness is going to be around the realm of PTSD. And this is how we respond to that frequency. And that's kind of like volume 5 for those guys. Like that's that's probably where they're at. What we would call PTSD would be about level 3. And there's a certain unwillingness and insistence to preserve the delicacy of who we are, which is something I've been saying. I'm proud of myself for saying that I recognize how beautiful, special it is to be veal,
yeah.
and how it would be quite natural for us to require ourselves to pretend this isn't happening, to insist it's not happening, which is why I think Trump's spraying poop on people is really just normalizing that is as a joke. It's AI, man. It's not real. In fact, the next time you bring this up that this happens in Israel, they're going to say, "Well, yeah, that was AI," and it's like, no, no. I don't mean AI, but it's too late. It's too late. It's too late. You've lost them because the veal requires these things. The that kind of mindset requires the naivete. We are the virgins in this case, and it's like fuck. It's it's very dilating to it's very honestly it's very personal for me. It's being a young age feeling like there's a predator in the room and explaining to the person I trust the most that there's a predator in the room, and just to be like, oh fuck, you don't believe me, you want to have a better time than this, then you do not want to do this. And that's a very activating manic state. But I mentioned earlier, I think this is uh, I'm manic in the sense of it's not really related. It is related. It's triggered by that, but it's every vibration is meant to unlock an electron state, and that electron state allows you to move to an orbit that you feel more comfortable at the moment. This is ultimately what's happening.
Thanks, James. Okay, go ahead, Sarah. Hands up.
Two things. We talked about Asherah, the goddess worship. I have a little book called The Hebrew Goddess, and it talks about the effigy, the statues of this goddess Asherah was in the Jewish temple more often than it was not. So that in that time of the Israelites, they had a hard time for a long time of giving up that goddess worship, and it was turned into the concept of the feminine aspect of God, which is called James Paulino's the Shekinah.
Yeah. I say Shekinah wrongly, but yeah,
Shekinah and all the lore
yeah.
associated with that.
The oldest record of the tribe of Yahweh, the Shizu, is a hump pole. It's an Asherah pole. It's a pole, and it's got holes in it, erotic holes, a
Crazy.
lot of them. And if
So
you were building a congregation, your your entry, you got to hump the pole. You have to swear on the phallus, someone might say. And if you know your Bible, you would go, wait, whoa. I've heard this before. And then you would look at the 5, 6, 12 verses of swearing on the phallus, and you're like, you must get down on a knee and place your hand on this dude's junk and swear unto Asherah or whoever else, insert name. And how would you check this out? How would you cleanse a glory hole that's been used for hundreds of years, and you rush in and you would chop it down? You would chop down the Asherah pole. Now people can't hump on it. And you would burn it. But then you would take the bones of the people that were humping the rock, and you would ground those bones. You would take 5, 6, 7 extra days to do this, pulverize those bones, put in all that effort, and then spread those bones on top of that hump rock. Maybe you have to do that because the smell of that place, the sex of that place, the all the emotions of that would require something that intense to cover the memory hole, because it's like telling a PTSD victim, "Hey man, you want to go see Star Wars and this will fix it," and it's it's Star Wars isn't doing it for you anymore. Like if you hold a knife up to their throat and then let them watch Star Wars, like this is maybe you're getting closer to where you're at. And the same thing would be, how do we compete with ejaculating into a rock while a bunch of other people are like cheering and do like, I'm just saying,
what
if
were the women?
walking around the forest,
What were the women?
that's a big deal. What about the women?
What were the women doing during this whole time? Was this
A
a
great
form
question.
of,
It's a
was
great
it a form
question.
of population control?
But
Like
so
some
if you
holes
think about,
instead.
it's a great question because if you think about what started Rome, I here's what I think happened. What started Rome is that hey, if you are a lady of the night and you are looking for some work, you're going to go down to the fuck hole. You're going to go to the glory hole. You're going to go down there and go, hey guys, you want the real thing? And you're going to have some people that are going to want the real thing. They're going to want you more than them. And so now you become a sacred whore. You become a sacred whore because you are literally at the church offering your Ashira, which is the worship of the goddess. The worship of the goddess. You would be a goddess because you are. You literally have a Stargate. You can move it around. You're like, let me move the Stargate over here. And then you're just like, Stargate is right here. And you can open it and close
Portal.
it and do whatever. And so you would come to this place and be worshiped the same way a whorehouse works, the same way any person who wants to become a man or to regenerate or to celebrate fertility or to live forever in eternity, to worship the idea of living forever in eternity, where you would cast your lot and make the best call. Your best chance would be, I got to get close to a Stargate. Where do I find the Stargate? And if you can't find a Stargate, but there happens to be a hole, and you see your cousin Roger doing it, and you're just like, God, he looks like he's having fun. You're gonna start humping the rock too, because
No
all the women
STDs.
are like, you guys are fucking insane, man. You're insane. You got crazy pigtails. You freaking walking around saying Meshuggah. Fuck you. I don't want to be here. Now you're humping a rock. No, I'm just kidding. But it's Ashira is chopped down. The chopping down leads to a lot of angst. The angst leads to a celebration in an inverted penis. The cross is an inverted penis. It's literally the Ark of the Covenant is two stones and Aaron's rod, and those things are turned upside down, and that's what a cross looks like. And so to be crucified on the cross is to be have your have your most precious antenna for limbic information that you've been pruned on all your life in the pagan times. How are we going to match a monthly orgy? And the answer is we're going to switchblade our fucking end of our dick off. And that if you did this on purpose, you would show a mastery over yourself. You would fucking show a mastery, a commandment of your 10, of each 5 of your rules. You would master over them and master fertility itself, all the sacred things that are in the ark. So the Asherah pole is crucial. The Ark of the Covenant is Asherah with the rod and the two stones inside. This is the viscous Pisces that has the man worshiping inside. So it's always been a union cult, which is why when you take Yahweh and you open its doors and you look at the word backwards, it says she, he. It fucking says she, he. And this is why the cave of the patriarchs probably has hermaphroditic bones in there. Probably does. My guess is that maybe it's got 6 fingers. Maybe it's got 6 toes. I don't think that anyone who found the patriarchs' bones knew these are hermaphroditic bones, but I think they've been tested by now. You don't think anyone has gone into the cave of the patriarch and said, I'm gonna fucking analyze Jacob's bones. And that would be the most elite thing you could do, and you wouldn't tell a fucking soul. It's like this Louvre robbery. I can't believe people are thinking that we just put fucking crown jewels in there. I think this is like the most beautiful way to get people to buy a museum ticket. Is to be like, yeah, at 9:30 in the morning, the place got robbed. It was fucking horrible. Oh my God, it was so much suspense. Oh, there's a Pink Panther on the roof. Oh, what are we gonna do? And that's a great way to sell a museum. But you're not gonna put the real stuff in there. Are you kidding? Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Oh God,
That's funny.
everything, right? It's got everything. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But this is a beautiful. The guys that are humping the rock are keeping the flame alive. They really are that. I was trying to say this earlier. I hope you don't mind if I get this out. But I want you to think about how much power it gets to have an inside joke. It's kind of like when you're in the room with your kid and maybe you're talking with your significant other and you guys are having a completely different conversation and you know that the child has no clue what you're talking about at all and you it's a kind of power. It's I'm not saying you get off on it with your child, but I want you to know that just like it feels good to hump a rock, I know that sounds weird.
I have no idea.
It actually does. I've humped a few trees myself. I'm not gonna lie, and they were non-consenting. I've actually had this whole thing where I'm like, God, did I rape a tree? And I was like, Fuck, you raped a tree, dude. It's like you
How
raped.
many
That
girls? How many girls have been humped? Without with your clothes on. I mean, it's common.
Yeah.
safe sex, right?
What
Yeah.
the tree? Are we talking about the tree or
Well,
girl?
if you call whatever the woman, the Shahira, what did you call it? The Shahira pole?
Yeah, the Ashira
What?
pole.
A
Yes.
Shira pole. So
Yeah, I
I
should
can
have called
say
it the.
that
Oh my God, I'm
if
an
you've been with
ancient Jew.
adolescent
Oh God,
boys, you've
I'm
been a
an
pole.
ancient poop sprayer. I'm an ancient poop sprayer.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. There you
Hey,
go.
now I feel
We've
better.
all been humped,
I can
women.
compassionate this. Yeah.
Shira is a Hebrew name. It's used for girls. It means literally, I will sing.
Oh my
I
goodness.
will what? Stink?
I will sing.
Shira is song. Shira is
I
song.
will sing. Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
will
will
sing.
sing. Okay.
Oh my God, you're gonna
Shira,
give her an
in
orgasm,
front of
right?
it is the
You're
future
gonna
tense.
give her
I
an
will sing.
orgasm. I will sing. Oh my
Yes.
God, this is so great. Yeah, I really want to write this book, The Gospel of Lust, guys. I really do. It's all this is in
Well,
there.
this thing that I'm seeing, the great work is running a current and connecting these currents together and running what is a sacred Hermes Gamos. It is the sacred union. So the way out of this, whatever this cult is, this patriarchal cult, is for us to get our divine back on and do it in the proper way. You know?
Yep. On that note, can I add that the scarab, the most
Mhm.
sacred Egyptian beetle of regeneration, is covered in poop.
Picking up.
It's covered in poop. It uses poop to regenerate. So there you go.
It's a dung poop.
Where do you where do you get some of the psilocybin mushrooms on cow poop?
Thor is in the room. Yeah, and the Beatles do this the ball poop.
Yep.
That's was represented in the rising sun in Egypt. So
There's the
it's
yellow sun, the white sun, and the brown sun.
Poopy song.
brown, the color of the soul.
The
This
poop sun. Yeah. Yeah, the compost sun. Maybe that's a better way. Anyway.
oh my goodness.
So
Well,
the
we
son
have.
of God is a shithead. This is we've solved a lot here, ladies and
Well,
gentlemen.
I think that, maybe if history was told maybe accurately, maybe the Christ consciousness had a different gnosis and it's been taken and, absconded with. But I think it's coming into this inner awakening as our hermaphroditic, coming into this divine thing. You can make a union as, with the sun. I mean, I have a practice. I do naked sunbathing. Try it. It's freaking amazing. You can run your Kundalini up through your sacred portal or Stargate or whatever and just run a current, and learn how to do that so that, you're not susceptible to running in this, the poop cult or being humped. Just saying. I don't know. We have like a couple of minutes if anyone has anything really urgent to say. We've digressed.
An interesting experience. So I had made a comment to somebody's positive post on Facebook, and she replied, Sarah, you always find something negative to say. It's like your superpower. It felt really weird at first, and I thought, well, I'm going to kind of run with that, with the superpower thing, and find and refer to all of my skills as superpowers. And I did this. I was outside at the park, and there's strawberry trees, and they're edible fruit on it. They're very interesting. And somebody came up and asked me what they're doing. What am I doing? Are those edible? It's like, yes, they are. They're very interesting. And they thanked me for sharing that information. I said, sure, no problem. It's one of my superpowers. So I'm going to just run with that one.
Thank you, Sarah.
Love it.
I have a lot of grandchildren, and one of the things that we love to play is superpower game. And everyone claimed their superpower, and we would like play hours on, imagining what your superpowers are. And I love that you alchemated that, having an opposite, or maybe what'd you call it once? Like, you offer different opinions. I wouldn't say it was negative. It's more, you're challenging. You're being a challenger to the status quo,
Yes,
right?
and I can be a contrarian or just
Yeah,
point out something
contrarian.
else
Yeah, yeah.
Because positive, exactly.
So, and then, running with the superpower spy games, and we would go by code names, So you always had to have a code name when you were doing your superpower game. So I love to play. So I hope this was a great dojo for me. I'm so grateful that I got to moderate today. And James, I love you very much. I appreciate your work, no matter where you are on your current. And everyone, unmute and say bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Great to see everybody.
Everybody.
Dream.